Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So you all saw my last two videos about these white supremacists who held a demonstration on a University of Virginia campus. They were bearing torches reminiscent of the K.K.K, chanting White Lives Matter, chanting you will not replace us, chanting the Jews will not replace us. And that was a lead up to the rally that took place today, the so-called Unite the Right rally, where you had these white supremacists gathered in Charlottesville, Virginia, causing chaos and disorder, complete disorder, causing violence to be erupted. One of these white supremacists rammed his car into a crowd of people, killing one woman, injuring 19 other people. And also there were clashes between these white supremacists and counter-protesters, leading to at least 15 injuries. And now a state of emergency has been declared in that city. So this is the situation that we have. And in light of this situation, you have Donald Trump issue a weak statement where he's trying to play both sides of the fence, where he's trying to condemn quote unquote bigotry and hatred on all sides, as if he's basically trying to legitimize this whole alt-right movement, basically saying that there's hatred on both sides, and instead of calling out this movement for what it is. It is a hate movement. It is a white supremacist movement. It is a racist movement. And this president has failed the American people by not condemning this movement for what it is. And this is no coincidence. As I said on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, don't hold your breath waiting for Donald Trump to condemn these white supremacists in Charlottesville, Virginia. Don't hold your breath waiting for that. Because these people represent his core. These people represent his values. These people represent his base. So it is highly unlikely that this man is going to have a harsh statement condemning those racist bigots and terrorists. It's highly unlikely that he will do so. Because these are the people that endorsed him. These are the people that made it possible for him to be elected president. And David Duke reminded him of that today. I was just watching CNN where this man talked about how they helped elect Donald Trump. He reminded Donald Trump, don't listen to these leftists. We are the ones, white voters are the ones who helped elect you. And this man, David Duke, was talking about how he's trying to take his country back, echoing what Donald Trump had been saying, talking about taking his country back and talking about fulfilling the promises that Donald Trump made. This alt-right movement is Donald Trump's Frankenstein monster. They have been inspired by Donald Trump's example. Donald Trump pandered to these people. Donald Trump campaigned to these people. He campaigned on hatred and intolerance in order to appeal to these people. So it is no wonder that this man is not harshly condemning these white supremacists who are engaged in acts of terrorism. Because make no mistake about it, ramming a car into a group of people for political reasons, killing one person, that is nothing but terrorism. That's what it is. And the person who did that, his name is Alex Fields Jr. He was arrested. But I don't hear them referring to this man as a terrorist. As was pointed out on CNN, a while ago, a Somali man did similar acts on another campus, and he was quickly called a terrorist. But here you have a white man who commits political violence to terrorize people, and no one is calling this man a terrorist in terms of the media. They're not referring to him as a terrorist. They're just not. They're looking at this as a criminal act, period. Not an act of terrorism. unlike other situations. But that's the nature of the media. But the fact that Donald Trump hasn't made a bold condemnation of what these people have done speaks volumes. It speaks to his loyalties. It speaks to his agenda. I mean, for goodness sakes, I mean, he has one of these people in his White House as his chief political advisor. So we're not holding our breaths waiting for this man to condemn these people the way he should. These people are his foot soldiers. These people are his base. These are the people that made it possible for him to be elected. And if we are smart, if we're wise, we need to do everything in our power to make sure that this man does not get another 4 years in the White House. Enough is enough. I mean, when you look at this situation, you see double standards. Throughout the campaign, Donald Trump kept talking about how the Democrats and Obama were afraid to label terrorism as, Islamic extremist terrorism or whatever. He was condemning them for their unwillingness, according to him, to call out terrorism for exactly what it is. Call out Islamic extremism and all that kind of stuff. Well, it is time for Donald Trump to call out this white supremacy and this racism for what it is. And that brings me to another point. I mean, the media keeps referring to these people as white nationalists. I mean, that is a euphemism. These people are not just some white nationalists. These people are white supremacists. They believe that white people are supreme. They believe that this is a white country. They don't want other groups of people in this country. And according to some of these reports, some of those people that came to that demonstration armed. These people are hate mongers, and they need to be called that. The media needs to stop pussyfooting around and call these people out for what they are. These people are not just white nationalists. White nationalism is a general term that can be applied to this whole society. This is a white nationalist society. But to be more specific, when it comes to these races in Charlottesville, Virginia, those people are nothing but white supremacists. So quit legitimizing them by giving them these titles like white nationalists, these euphemisms like white nationalism or alt-right. These people are nothing but hate mongers, and they need to be called out for this. See, the media doesn't have any problem calling an Arab or a Muslim a terrorist when they commit these kinds of acts of violence. But because it is a white face, they're not eager to call those acts of violence terrorism. When the truth of the matter is, the white supremacists are the biggest threat to safety and security in this country. They are the domestic threat. They are the terrorists. They pose a greater threat than these foreign terrorists in this country. But the Trump administration doesn't even see this as a priority. They talked about how they're no longer going to focus their efforts on domestic terrorists like the alt-right and the K.K.K and these Nazis and all that kind of stuff. Instead, they're going to focus solely on foreign terrorists. That tells you that these people, the Trump administration doesn't view these white supremacists as any kind of problem that needs to be addressed and focused upon. Because again, this is his base. This is his core. These are the people who love him. I mean, it was the K.K.K that endorsed this man. It was the alt-right movement that endorsed this man. They endorsed him with Nazi salutes. David Duke endorsed this man. These people are his base. This man is not fit to be president of the United States. If he can't represent all of Americans, if he doesn't have the courage to condemn this kind of violence, then he's not fit to be president. And I have to make a few other points before I close this out. The first point is this. I mean, I understand the ACLU and its role of protecting people's free speech. But when you look at what happened today, you have to ask yourself, would those same events had occurred if the ACLU did not help these white supremacists gain the right to hold their demonstration in that location? Because they had predicted, the city and all the officials predicted that violence would unfold if this demonstration was held there. But here you have the ACLU defending these white supremacists, these damn terrorists. And I just find that deeply disappointing, given the fact that the ACLU does work around racial discrimination in this country. It's just a shame to see the ACLU basically enable these damn terrorists. And this has to be called out, man. The ACLU needs to make better choices in terms of what kind of cases they take on. I believe that people should have the right to speech and all that kind of stuff, but you don't have the right to incite violence. You don't. And that's exactly what these people did. They incited violence with their hate-filled rhetoric. And as I look at this whole thing unfold, you just see the double standards. When the people in Baltimore erupted because of injustice, because of the death of Freddie Gray, those people were labeled, they were condemned, and they were persecuted and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The damn killer cop walked, but the people that expressed their outrage at that injustice, they faced stiff sentences. The same is true in Ferguson, when people were protesting and demonstrating and rebelling and uprising against the system. Those people were labeled. Those people were condemned, those people were arrested, and those people were punished severely. But again, in that situation, the cop that killed that brother, Mike Brown, walked. But yet the people who expressed their outrage were sentenced and punished and condemned and demonized. But I don't see that same kind of demonization right now. The black people who were engaged in uprisings were referred to as thugs, as criminals and all that kind of stuff. But where is that same level of condemnation? When you had that uprising, as one of my colleagues pointed out, when you had those uprisings in Ferguson and Baltimore, they brought in the National Guard to quell that situation. Where's the National Guard here? Why is there a double standard here? So those are just some thoughts that I had to get off my chest. I'm going to continue to talk about this issue. As you know, this is very important. These are the times in which we live. Volatile times. And seeing this violence going on, it just makes me think about whether or not black people as a community are prepared to defend themselves and their interests. Are you prepared to defend yourself? Not just physically defend yourself, but defend your interests. These same people who are now probably putting up videos condemning this violence, condemning these white supremacist groups. But these same people, when they had a chance to prevent the white supremacist candidate from being elected president, these same people told you and me that our votes don't matter. And now you had this Trump administration dismantling civil rights, going after voting rights, going after affirmative action, going after health care, basically trying to reevaluate these consent decrees with racist police departments. This is a horrible situation, and we got to get on point, man. We got to defend ourselves in the ballot room, the ballot box, through our vote. We have to defend ourselves by standing up against these politicians who endorse these destructive policies. And we have to stand up against these white supremacists, man. We have to. Because they're not playing, man. They're for real. And it's time for us to wake up and get real. Each and every one of us should be prepared to defend ourselves and our families and our communities. But too often we're distracted by foolishness. Too often we don't even know what time it is. As I said in my prior video, it's time for the black man, woman, and child to wake the hell up and realize what kind of world we live in and be prepared to do what needs to be done to make a difference.